Hi everyone, in this video we're going to look at histograms. So basically histograms are looking at continuous data. So a little bit different to a bar chart. They look the same, but histograms usually have intervals, whereas bar charts just look at discrete data. So for example, if you were doing the number of people who lived in your house, that's discrete data. So you're looking at whole numbers. So you're counting how many people. So I have 2 people in my household. You might have 4. Your friend might have 5. Your neighbor might have 3. Whereas histograms looking at continuous data. So that's stuff that can be measured. So things like height, weight, time, stuff like that. So usually data we put into class intervals. Okay, so you can see in all this theory, I'm not reading through it probably like I should. We've got a frequency table here on the left, and we're looking at class intervals. So basically what we have in the first column is we're going from 60 to 65, 65 to 70, 75 to 80, and then 80 to 85. So values that fall in between 60 up to, but not including 65, we have 3. And then just to do the percentage frequency, that's 3 out of 25 people. So that's how you get the 12. So let me just write that down, because sometimes saying things isn't as easy as showing. So if we're doing your class interval, it's basically 60. Let's just call it X. So we're going from 60, including 60, up to 65, but not including 65. So we're going in between 60 and 65. 65 is included in the next class interval. All right, the frequency is pretty easy. So 3 people or values, your percentage frequency, so for this one being 12, is just going to be, how can I do this? 3. So we've got the frequency of 3 over your total, which is 25. I'm just going to stop auto-saving that otherwise. All right, let's just go into the main menu. So if we were doing the percentage, so 3 divided by 25, and then multiply it by 100 to turn it into a percentage, not 1,000. And then just press enter, and you can see you get 12. So that's where the 12% comes from. So our 2 histograms, the first histogram in the middle, you can see here is the bar from 60 to 65, and there's the frequency of 3. In the percentage frequency histogram, we've got the same bar, but, and you can hardly see this, but if we went across, you would have 12 as the percentage. Okay, so mostly we would see it just as frequency, not percentage frequency, but you need to know that they still both exist. In a histogram, your bars do need to be right next to each other. So that's one of the main differences between a bar chart and a histogram. Histogram, the bars have to be next to each other. If they're not next to each other, it just means you've got 0 frequency for that interval. But bar charts, usually we space them out. All right, so for question 1, I'm going to show you how to do it on your calculator, because we've got actually a lot of information there. So I'm going to get the calculator out, and this is the first time you've probably done statistics on your calculator. So just menu, going to statistics. And you've probably got list 1 written here, and I've actually deleted it because I've done something else there before. So I'm just going to put list 1 back in. And as you okay, it's easier sometimes to just type it. I don't think I'm supposed to have spaces. There we go. All right, so the problem was I was putting a space between list and the number 1, so no spaces there. So usually you can leave them as list 1, list 2, list 3, or you could rename them. So this one here, we're looking at number of ice cream, so you could call it ice cream. Sometimes you've got a lot of data and it's just easier to call the list something other than list 1 so you don't get confused. All right, I'm going to quickly enter these values. It's going to take a long time, so maybe while I'm doing it, you can do it too. All right, I'll show you also some other statistics. 45, 2, 8, 2, 2, 3, 17, oops, 3. Hopefully I don't get any numbers incorrect. Such a long process entering values, and the problem is if you get one number wrong, your answer is going to be wrong. So let's just quickly get through. 36, 3, 9, 2, 2, 11, oops, 37. Now what you would usually do is once you've entered them in, you would also double check. Sometimes you might forget to press enter and you end up with like 1,722 or something. We know there's 50 values because it says in the question, so great, I haven't missed anything. So I'm just going to scroll up and look see if anything looks like it shouldn't be there. But usually with data sets you wouldn't get 50 values. So all right, before we move on to A, I'm going to show you just how to find the mean and median. So if we go to one variable and our list is X, we don't have a frequency, so that's okay. All right, and here's our data. So remember we calculate the mean by adding all the values and dividing it. So imagine trying to add all them together and then dividing it by 50. So there's your mean there, 15.96. All right, you got a lot of stats here. Okay, so X bar is your mean, so 15.96. All right, the other data you'd probably go through in future years, so I'm not going to spend too much time doing that. All right, if we just go down, now this is important. So your minimum value is 0. Okay, remember we looked at the upper quartile and the lower quartile. So here, the Q1, and I can't draw on my calculator, but Q1 is also the lower quartile. Okay, so the lower quartile for this one is 3. So remember when we did that by hand and we wrote all numbers out, it would take you forever to write all these numbers in order. So you can see there you've got a lower quartile of 3. And what do you think then Q3 might relate to? That's your upper quartile. So our upper quartile is 22. Our median is there also, so 11.5. They've given us our maximum. Just going to pause. Oops, get rid of my email. All right, so where were we? So our median 11.5, the maximum. So because you've got the maximum and the minimum, you can also do the range. So 47 minus 0 gives you the range. But that's easy to find anyway. The mode, they've also given you that, which is 2. And I don't think we need to do anything else. Let's just scroll down and see what else it's given us. Nothing else. Okay, so from here you've got the mean, median, mode, your lower quartile, your upper quartile. You can get the interquartile range, so it's just 22 minus 3, and you can also do the range. So just a lot of data that you can get there. All right, for your histogram, now I've never actually done this on the calculator, so let's just work and see how we go. So, sorry, I should have shown you where I went. So I'll just cancel that for now. So this button here, just with the little graphs on there. So not this first graph one, so this one here. You can see we've got types of graphs. So we've got, if I just scroll down, scatter plot, line graph. You've got, oops, can I move you down? No, not going to let me move you down. Ah, maybe you can't move you down. All right, I want a histogram. All right, so I just had to restart my calculator, which is a bit annoying, but go back to here, histogram. Our values are in the list and we didn't have a separate list for our frequency, so we just leave it as 1. Okay, so nothing, it looks like nothing happened. So then we go to this graph screen, and we've actually kind of told it we want it to be a histogram. All right, sorry, my phone just rang, so I have to answer that. Okay, so with your histogram, the H start just means where your histogram needs to start at. So 0 is fine. If we were looking at larger values, like in the hundreds or something, and your smallest value was 100, you could start your histogram at 100. So now the H step is just your intervals. So for this one, in question A, it's saying from 0 to 10, 10 to 20. So our intervals are going to be 10. So let's go OK. And you can see your histogram there. So you can easily just copy that into your book, all right, or you can just do it on your calculator. You can't really read the values, okay, so we can't see the values on the graph just yet. So if you just go to Analysis and Trace, you'll get this little pink cross coming up, and then you can just use your arrows to go across. And you'll notice down the bottom, if I go to the first one, okay, our first frequency is 23. Okay, so this interval from 0 to 10 is 23, down to 10, frequency of 10 for 10 to 20, and then across 6 for 20 to 30, 7 for 30 to 40, 4 for 40 to 50, and then 0 for 50 plus. Okay, so your little cursor will help you read that, and just that F, okay, your frequency, just tells you what the values are. All right, so we've done our histogram. If you were going to do it by hand, you would actually need to put in a tally. So you can just go from 0 to 9, 10 to 19, 20 to 29, 30 to 39, and so on, and then count up how many fit in that each interval, and then you can do your histogram that way, but a lot quicker to do on your calculator. All right, so if you had 0 to 9, let's just quickly do that. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Or did we have 23 on the calculator? I can't remember. Oh, yes, we did. So you can see here, 23. So we had 23 for 0 to 9. And then you can do the same for 10 to 19 and so on, and then draw your histogram. So drawing your histogram, you use your ruler, obviously. Okay, so here's 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Notice that the numbers are underneath the lines. Okay, so your bar, when you draw your bar, and we're going up to 23. So our bar shows us we're going from 0 to 10, and then you just do the same for the other intervals. All right, so question C, on how many days did the ice cream van sell fewer than 20? So I'll get my calculator back up. So fewer than 20 means from 0 to 20. So we've got 23 plus 10, so 33. And then at least 30 ice creams. So I'll just get my calculator back up. So at least 30, I'm going to go here. So we've got, what's that, 7 and 4 gives us 11. All right, so hopefully you've got your calculator and you can do that on your calculator. If not, just takes you a little bit longer to do by hand. All right, so question 2. So we've got 60 students. All right, so this is going to take us a long time to do. So I'm going to quickly show you again how to put it onto your calculator. So we can just go back to Menu, Statistics, and we can clear everything in there. So I think if we just highlight the list and go clear, it's going to clear everything. We can rename it List 1. Oh, okay. what we need to do is, I think we need to clear all. Okay, so clear all means it goes, otherwise it kind of stores those values in. All right, so put all 60 values into your calculator, and then, so I'm going to pause and do that, and then we'll do a histogram. But if you feel confident doing a histogram, have a go at doing it on your own. All right, so I've entered in all my values. Now, we're going to, it says set up a frequency table. I'm just going to jump straight into doing the histogram. If you were going to do the intervals, similar to what we did before, and the percentage, I showed you that at the start of the video, but we're just going to jump straight into, actually before we do that, let's just remember one variable stats. Okay, so you can get your mean, median, mode, upper quartile, lower quartile, and you can then calculate your range and your interquartile range. So it's all there for you. All right, but let's do a histogram. So I'm going to choose histogram. Okay, and then have a look at our histogram. So it's suggested we start at 50. So 50 must be our lowest value. All right, and the question says it does say we're starting at 50 anyway. Intervals of 10. So I'm going to change that to 10. Go to OK, and there's our histogram. So remember to find the values. Go to Analysis, Trace. Whoops. All right, and then just use your arrows to go across to do the frequency. All right, so how many marks were less than 70 out of 100? So we're going to look at the first two bars because that's less than 70. So we've got frequency of 8 plus a frequency of 14 gives us 22. What percentage of marks were What percentage of marks were at least 80 out of 100? So we're looking at percentage of marks. So 80 out of 100, at least 80 out of 100. So we've got 25 plus 4 is 29. So 29 of the 60 students. out of 60, and then we just do that. Go back on the calculator, go back to the main screen, and then 29 divided by 60. And you can just highlight that and turn it into a decimal. So correct to 1 decimal place would do, oops, and let's just multiply that by 100, sorry, because we're doing a percentage. Now I've got this in standard, that's why it's like that, but then we'll just change it quickly. Come on. All right, so we've got 48.3%. All right, I think I only had the 2 questions. Oh, I've got another question. All right, so we'll do question 3 together as well. Excuse me. So we're just going to enter those values into the calculator, draw a histogram, and answer the 2 questions. So it would be a good idea if you haven't done it on your own calculator yet to do it. So statistics, okay, so remember to get rid of all that, just go to Edit, Clear All. Are you sure? Yep. All right, and then put the values in. So we've only got 30 this time, so it won't take as long. So I won't bother pausing the video. Now, some of you don't have a calculator, so it's going to take you a little bit longer. So perhaps, if you haven't done question 2, maybe just leave question 2 and just do 1 and 2. Sorry, question 1 and 3. Now I've lost my spot. 10, 9, 8, 12, 10, 11, 4, 5. Okay, so I've got 30 values. Awesome. They look okay. All right, so your histogram, again, we want so you can see you got different plots there. There we go, didn't work before. Most of these you'll never use. The 2 that you'll probably use in the future are histogram and box plot. I'll just quickly show you what a box plot looks like. Oh, it's very small, hard to see. But there's a box plot, and box plots actually show us the minimum value, which is down here, the lower quartile, the median, the upper quartile, and the maximum value. But we're not going to do box plots, we're going to do histogram. So let's just go back to histogram. Okay, and we want to start at, oh, does it say where to start? Let me just see, starting at 0. Okay, and we want a width of 3, so I'm going to change that. It's weird how the calculator just does these weird numbers, but anyway, so make sure you always choose the interval, and you can see there, if we go to analysis and trace, you can find those values. So for question C, in how many games did the player kick fewer than 6 goals? So the numbers aren't on the bottom, which is a little bit annoying. So that column is 6, so we're looking at the first 2 columns from 0 to 3 and then 3 to 6. So we've got 8 plus 1 is 9. In how many games did he kick more than 11 goals? So we're looking at this one here. Oh, well, that one we can't read off our histogram because more than 11 will mean 12 or more. So that last column is 7. Okay, so more than 11 doesn't include 11, so it's 12. So that last bar starts at 12, so I've got a frequency of 7 for that one. All right, girls, so make sure if you've got a calculator, a CADS calculator, you can do that on your calculator, but if you don't have a calculator, also have a go at doing it by hand. You can see what they should look like. All right, bye.